Welcome back to Backward Point Podcast, a production that has maybe a higher quality than the PSL draft that we all witnessed. My name is Nazar Sayed, and I will not be smoking on camera, much like the host of the PSL, Sikandar Bakht. With me, as always, Bashar Sayed, who I cannot guarantee might just take out a blunt and light one up for the fans. Bashar Sayed, welcome back to the podcast.
Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2, testing.
You know what's hilarious? That's something that we do before the podcast starts, is that we check all the equipment, check the lights, check the audio. And this is a setup that does not move from its current location. Like every now and then we'll scoot something over, but we go through a rigorous checklist just to make sure that production of the podcast that goes out to maybe 20,000 people, 30,000 people, 50,000 if Pakistan loses. And then suddenly the PSL draft forgets a checklist like this. It basically shows how Pakistan runs an amateur power hour. And now we're here, Bashar.
It is the absolute bare minimum to do a mic test, an audio test before you have such big production happening. And this is the 10th edition of the PSL draft. This is not their first time doing this thing. These are experienced people, but the PCB somehow shows again and again how they can stoop to new lows. And the production quality in this PSL draft was horrendous. So much hype for the first few PSL platinum draft picks. And here we had Shaheen Afridi trying to announce Daryl Mitchell's name, but unable to because the mic was not working.
Or some would say it was divine intervention. Maybe Allah Ta'ala was trying to tell Shaheen, don't take Daryl Mitchell, take Warner. And yet, here we are.
Bro, I was all about that Warner and Fakhr opening combination. That would have just lit up the PSL.
That would have lit up the PSL. I think that's a missed opportunity just to get eyeballs onto the franchise. Not to say that moving the window will not get eyeballs. I think we can have a discussion on the PSL location on the calendar now. It's different from where it was before, from February to April, May. But just having those dynamic blockbuster players in the top two, Lahore kind of dropped the ball there, I think, just to have an opportunity to do the craziest thing. But let's get into the nitty gritty of it all, Bashar. What do you think about the PSL draft, apart from the technical difficulties that we've discussed? Just the overview opinion.
ESPN Cricinfo broke the news a couple of years back that the PSL is looking into changing the PSL window from the February, March to April, May. And initially, when I heard this news, I was taken aback. I did not think that would have been a good idea to take on the IPL head on. But I think after some introspection, after analyzing how crammed actually the PSL window has become, for instance, just as we record this podcast right now, there are 4 international T20 leagues happening. The Big Bash in Australia, the Bangladesh Premier League in Bangladesh, the ILT20 in the UAE, and the SA20 in South Africa. At this point, I feel like there's a shortage of professional players, and you might have a chance of getting picked in the emerging category.
I see the contempt in your voice when you say that. Why wouldn't I? I mean, I've been, bowled pretty decently against Nawaz, kind of held my own against you there. I feel like I have a good chance to be in at least the SA20. What do you think?
Actually, your cut shot against me has gone quite viral.
It has. People have come up to me and be like, the cut shot against Bashar, that should have gone for 4. That was over backward point, or at least a bit finer than backward point.
Did you mean to play that towards backward point purposely?
I mean, what's the name of the show, buddy? What's the name of the show? It's the backward point agenda, isn't it?
So because the PSL window has shifted to April, May, the PSL draft also got pushed back. And the PSL draft strategically happened after the IPL auction, for which I was present in Jeddah for other reasons.
No. So you have to rephrase that. That makes it seem like you were there at the IPL auction. You were in Jeddah while the IPL auction was happening in Jeddah. It was not that you were invited by the higher ups, the overlords at BCCI, and be like, please, Bashar Sayed from Backward Point Podcast, we need you here. It wasn't like that.
I was informed it's happening.
You were informed as it was happening.
In my vicinity. So because the PSL draft got pushed back, we now had a clear picture of which players signed up for the PSL. And actually, we got a pretty good, decent amount of leftovers from IPL.
I think I've said this many times. The best thing that the PSL could do was to concede that IPL was going to be the biggest franchise in the world. Sorry, let me rephrase that. The biggest thing that the PSL could do was concede that the IPL was going to be the biggest league in the world, and that the fact that they're the best that they could do was probably be number 2. What that opened up was just an opportunity for them to go head to head, not to compete, but head to head to be like, whatever the IPL scraps, we will get. And that's not a bad lot. And you know what? This kind of concurrent model might really work for the PSL. They might get more eyeballs just because, people are going to try to compare what the IPL is doing versus what the PSL is doing. Just more players will be available for longer times. I think the only person that's sort of his availability is a bit questionable is maybe Mark Chapman for family reasons, but that's fair. Everybody else has signed up for the whole deal. I remember those PSLs where AB de Villiers is coming for 4 games and he's gone. Watson is here, but he's not going to come to Pakistan. Like stuff like that was happening. And, a lot of, I think Quetta Gladiators, 4 or 6 players in that run when they were going to play either the final or one of the knockouts in Pakistan, they bailed out. So you don't even get a full team.
And Zalmi was able to convince their players to come to Pakistan.
Yeah.
So David Milan, Darren Sammy, they came to Pakistan, whereas Quetta lost Kevin Peterson and all their main players.
Exactly. And those situations occurred. Now we have players like David Warner, like Daryl Mitchell, that are going to be signing up for the entire 4 weeks. And that's the best news to me, honestly. The fact that we're not in contention with the IPL anymore is just a IPL you win, but whatever you have left, give it to us so we can also be better. Being the second best league in the world is not a bad feat, and it comes with its own perks. So I'm okay with it.
We were speaking to Usman Khwaja when he was here in Canada in August, and off camera he said that he'd love to come back to the PSL.
Got unpicked, by the way.
Went unpicked at big news, by the way. But he wanted to come back because he feels it was really a good competition. The domestic talent makes the PSL very competitive. And because the PSL was happening in the February-March window previously, a lot of the Australian and the New Zealand players were not available because it was happening concurrently with their home season. So because it's now being pushed back to April, May, we now have, I think, the biggest lot of Australian players, New Zealand players were in the draft. 5 of the first 10 platinum picks in this PSL draft were from New Zealand. That says a lot. And
current players.
Current players. These are recent players who are part of their,
right into their T20 roster.
Correct. I think instead of Pakistan playing some like a South Africa C team or a New Zealand D team in that same April-May window, because of the IPL, the international calendar is also blocked. It's just better to have the PSL. We can unearth some more talents. We can have our own league. And in terms of eyeballs, I'm not exactly sure what the number is of how many Indian people watch the PSL. Last year, only Fan Code was broadcasting the PSL. But I think the PSL has enough following in Pakistan
around the world
and around the world itself to give it great commercial rights.
At least we know that the NRIs, the Indian folks in the diaspora, definitely check out the PSL. We have friends in our cricket team that are Indian that check out the PSL. They have a lot more info on certain players than we do. I was recently stopped at Walmart by a fan of the podcast. Shout out Jeevan if you're listening. And he was just going at it, and he was telling us how wonderful it is to see just cricket news and cricket podcasts coming out from Pakistan. So there is a keen interest in Pakistani cricket from neighbors, and you know what? It goes both ways. We're always paying attention and staying in tune with what the Indian cricket is doing as well. You want to get into the draft now? Like, do you want to cut the chase and tell me how Zalmi screwed up?
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. So you agree?
I think we should start off with some of the surprises. I think initially, like we were talking about, a lot of the guesses around the first pick in the platinum category from Lahore was David Warner. We thought Warner, Fakhr, give it to me in the opening, in the power play. Fakhr, Warner going at it, destructive opening pair.
6 overs, 100 runs. That'll happen.
But I think Qalandars have gone back and they were like, we want to go back to the winning combination of Fakhr opening with Abdullah Shafiq and then having Daryl Mitchell somewhere at like 4 or 5. Because in T20 cricket, finding a good, solid middle order batsman is far more unlikely versus finding an opener. There's a lot of openers in Pakistan and the global circuit. But to get Daryl Mitchell, who is a wonderful player of spin, he's tall, he's got good reach, he can ball some decent medium pace as well.
Gun fielder as well, I believe.
Gun fielder, yeah.
So, did you think it was kind of like a anticlimactic move to get Daryl Mitchell in? Like, no offense to all my Kiwi fans there, but David Warner is kind of blockbuster, isn't he?
I think Daryl Mitchell is more of a current player. Warner has played his last international match last year. So he's still kind of relevant,
But he
but
still went as the highest player ever to be sold at a PSL for 300,000 K.
well, the
$300,000, 300,000 K. That's 30.
unofficial numbers are like that Salman Iqbal, ARY, Karachi Kings paid him upwards of 300K. I'm hearing numbers of like $500,000.
$500,000 for David Warner. Is that worth it? I mean, because time will tell if he flips it around and suddenly KK win the whole thing.
Well, the two of the biggest players that Karachi Kings picked up were David Warner and Kane Williamson.
Which makes it's the opposite spectrum of T20I players.
I just think having them both in the vicinity of the PSL just adds more value to the PSL. Like Kane Williamson is one of the Fab Four batsmen.
Mm-hmm.
And like having our guys rub shoulders with him in the dressing room, learning from him, and even like a David Warner would be great.
But strategically, tell me, how is that a good pick?
When we get into the Karachi squad analysis, we will find that they picked way too many top order players.
Yeah.
And I'm not exactly sure how they can formulate their playing 11.
Yeah, it looks tough. I think we were on a podcast recently, the GRC podcast, Grassroots Cricket, invited us, and we did a breakdown of the entire, squad of every single team. So you guys can check that out as well. If you guys haven't, I don't know when it's going to be out, but surely near around this time. And that was a similar situation where we tried, just hypothetically trying to make an 11, and it wasn't happening for Karachi Kings. And this is because they're top order heavy. There's too many people up there.
Yeah. Also talking about surprises, this is the first time in the PSL we saw the least amount of English players signing up.
NOC
issue. So last year, I believe it was the November timeline where the ECB announced that they will not be giving NOCs to their domestic players for foreign leagues because they want them to prioritize the English county season. So players, unless they're playing the IPL obviously is an exception. They cannot play any foreign leagues like the CPL or the MLC or the GT20.
What other leagues are running? So those leagues, MLC, GT20, CPL, those are running concurrently with their county season?
Correct. And now the PSL because the window's been pushed back.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the PSL teams, even though some of the players were registered in the draft, for example, Johnny Bairstow, Adil Rashid were in the draft, but it said unavailable beside their names. PSL teams did not take the chance and pick them up because what if they picked them up and they were unavailable? That's a spot that they just wasted.
Yeah, I agree. That was an interesting little fill there because Johnny Bairstow and Adil Rashid are both actually quite solid, especially Adil Rashid in a T20I and in Pakistan in April, May, he would have wreaked havoc. And again, if we're talking about brand value, those two people would definitely have come in and lifted that. Not only that, there were a few English players that were selected. I guess they were
James Vince, TKC.
They're not into the county circuit, I guess? Or how does that NOC situation work?
So what just happened is that James Vince and TKC have given up their red ball contracts. So that might give them leverage to then be like, okay, we're not playing red ball. We're just playing white ball. So let us go play the PSL. And their chances might increase of getting the NOC.
But we don't have a green light just as yet for them.
Yeah, it's
because, I mean, Zalmi, sold their house and neighbor's house to get TKC in. And if he doesn't even get to play, that's what's going to be. It's going to be hilarious.
Talk about surprise picks. Quetta Gladiators wanted to pick TKC. They picked him. And then Peshawar Zalmi, because TKC was in Zalmi last year, they used their right to match card to bring him back to Zalmi. Shocking pick. Honestly speaking, I thought they'd be picking someone like an Adam Milne or a Tim Southey because last year they were desperate to get Naseem Shah on their team.
We know.
Why? Because they need somebody who balls fast in the power play, couple of overs in the power play, couple of overs in the death, good swing baller, kind of a handy batsman. And Tim Southey, Adam Milne sort of provide the same thing. And so for them to be like, screw that, we're going to go for TKC, I feel like this is just to, again, accommodate for a Babar Azam type anchor batsman in their top four. I've said this many times, but in order to accommodate for Babar Azam's style of play, Zalmi has constructed their whole batting lineup to complement Babar Azam. For example, Saim Ayub opening with Babar, 1 down Mohammad Haris, and then now 2 down will be TKC.
I'm not opposed to that. If you build your entire team around one person, the NBA does that all the time, man. That's just the nature of the game. But there's some thought and some analytics that goes into that, which I'm okay with. If Babar Azam is arguably your best player and your star player who gets paid the most locally, that's fine. Like you also gotta sell t-shirts, you also gotta sell jerseys. I get that. You gotta get eyeballs on your league. Babar Azam, that's just like a household name. I get it. I get the logistics, I get the finances. It's not a bad idea to structure your entire team around this one person. So A, he thrives and you get the most runs out of him. And B, the team isn't just pulled down with the weight of his gravity in the team. I'm okay with this. I just don't think that you use RTM and get TKC back. Maybe you go for somebody else. Maybe anything else, but you don't do that, in my opinion. I think that was he went for what? Platinum? Did he go for?
Platinum.
Too high.
And
way too high. For a cricketer that's never played for England, by the way. I believe TKC has never played in any international for England, and yet you go for platinum. That just, it seems weird. We've talked about this previously about the retentions. This whole platinum diamond situation, I'm not really into it. I know we talked to Rihan as well off the record, and he was like, this is just how it works. I believe Tadeen Saab also said this.
Foreign players decide their own categories.
Okay.
Yeah, so
of course, then
TKC's like, I'm platinum.
If there was anything, he was platinum pro. If there was a platinum pro possibility, so I get it. But at the same time, if somebody says XYZ, you gotta like sort of push back. TKC is not platinum.
Last season, he averaged 15 in 8 matches, strike rate of 110. So if you're looking at his last season's performances, not up to the mark. How
did the Zalmi camp defend that pick?
They said because TKC is also a backup wicketkeeper, they needed somebody who is also a backup wicketkeeper with Mohammad Haris.
They let Hasibullah go. That's why?
And also allegedly, TKC has incredible numbers against spin in the middle overs, so that's why they picked him.
It's just a howler, in my opinion. I don't know how they justify this unless if Zalmi don't make it to the knockout semis or finals. I'm looking at TKC as the reason.
Yeah, Tim Southee, my favorite bowler, went unpicked. Jason Roy goes unpicked, even though the 145 he scored on the PSL was voted as the best knock in the history of the PSL. Goes unpicked. A lot of the local talent that had potential goes unpicked. Quetta Gladiators chooses to pick Shoaib Malik instead of Qasim Akram, who was identified as the next big thing in the Pakistan domestic circuit.
Now, this is shocking to me. They let go of Sarfraz, which makes you think that, hey, Quetta is finally moving forward from the legends, quote unquote, of Pakistan cricket and trying to make a newer, younger team, trying to be of competition. They come out and pick Shoaib Malik. For why? Like, in what world does this make sense? He got picked in supplementary as a gold player, I believe.
I'm not sure.
Something of that nature, I believe. If I'm wrong, guys, do please fact check me. But any money for Shoaib Malik at the age of 42 is too much.
I think he was signed up in the diamond category, but I think you can go down one category if you're a player. So I would assume yes, he went for gold.
I think at this point he just wants to play. Is there any other league in the world that picks Shoaib Malik except for maybe the GT20?
Shoaib Malik has been playing professional cricket since 1996. So 29 years into his professional career, one of the longest standing careers ever by any player in cricket.
He's looking at LeBron James and being like, now what, buddy? 29, what do you got?
At this point, he has to wait for his son to grow up and play with him in the PSL.
Yeah, I would not be shocked if that happens, honestly. We've had so many family members play against each other in the PSL. We've had father-in-laws and son-in-laws play against each other. We've had, I think Shaheen actually bowled him out.
But this was before he was the father-in-law.
Still, potential. I mean, you look back, history, revisionist history, you're like, oh, that's the father-in-law, that's the son-in-law. There we go, bowled. And I don't even think he celebrated. I believe that was a viral thing.
Yeah.
Damn, bro.
We should have known back then.
A family affair. We should have known back then, yes.
Let's go team by team, look at their picks, talk about who's a player to watch out for, who was their best pick, who was a surprise pick, and lastly, if we think this team can make the playoffs. So starting
right before I do that, Bajaj, people are going to come out and say, well, of course you're going to say that. You have to Islamabad agenda. What do you want to say that right off the bat before you do a deep dive on every single team? People about to type, oh, you guys are just Islamabad cronies. Just address them, and so that we can move with peace.
Go back, watch episode 2 or episode 3 of the Backward Point podcast. In that episode, it's recorded in February of 2023, 2 years ago, and I denounced my support for Karachi Kings. I am from Karachi, but at the time, it was called the Snake 11 in Karachi Kings, and so I denounced my support for Karachi. And then I analyzed the other 5 teams. And I felt like Islamabad United plays modern day cricket. I love their approach to the game. And that's when I, on record, announced my support for Islamabad. The partnership happened with them last season. And it just made the whole thing a lot more sweeter than it was.
What about the shirt on your left?
Memories.
Memories?
Memories.
Some would say that the shadow of that shirt weighs heavy upon your shoulders.
And again, for the record, if this season we don't work with them, it's totally fine. My support for Islamabad will remain. Because again,
what if you work with somebody else?
That's fine. I will still support Islamabad deep down in my heart because, again, they align with how I think T20 should be played. Attacking in the power play, flexible batting order, deep batting order, all-rounders, and just have all your bases covered. That is Islamabad United.
Who do you think won the draft? Let's start with that team.
I think some really good picks were from Quetta. I really like Quetta's picks. Just because I'm not talking about the retentions, but I liked the players that they picked in this draft. For example, Finn Allen was a hot pick.
Yeah.
I was actually counting on Islamabad United to pick Finn Allen, but recently Matt Short had better numbers in the Big Bash. He was a lot more consistent. He averages higher than Finn Allen. But again, I cannot wait for Finn Allen to just go ballistic in the power play in the PSL. He's one of the most exciting batting talents to watch. I thought that who else did they pick?
They got Mark Chapman for probably half the tournament.
Yeah, Mark Chapman was an interesting pick because Ali Tareen mentioned that he is only available for half the tournament. Again, he has incredible stats against spin and in the middle overs and in Pakistan when he was in Pakistan last year.
Sean Abbott,
good all-rounder, fast bowling all-rounder, could cover a lot of bases. Kyle Jamieson is also a good pick, one of the highest paid players in the IPL a few years back, played for RCB. Has not really converted his numbers to the T20 format as much, but he is, again, a good talent to watch out for. Danish Aziz in the middle order is good. Hasibullah getting picked for Quetta. I love how Haris and Hasibullah are in different teams now.
Now they're going to be against each other. We'll finally find out if the hype for Hasibullah is there.
Correct. I'm looking forward to it. And then
the Gladiators Zalmi games are going to be good.
That's correct. And then Fahim Ashraf in the platinum category was, to me, a bit of a surprise. Fahim Ashraf was initially in gold, and then Islamabad United let him go because allegedly he was getting a better offer from a different team, which was against, I guess, Quetta Gladiators. Quetta used their wild card to get Fahim from the gold category to the platinum. Fahim has good stats in the PSL, handy bowler, very explosive batsman,
and very sort of important in the win for Islamabad last year. Fahim played a good hand in a few innings, and just a great all-rounder for especially in the PSL circuit. Fahim Ashraf's sort of absence in the Islamabad United team will be felt as well. They tried their best to replicate that or replace that space with Jason Holder, but it's going to be an interesting little back and forth.
So Quetta, who's your player to watch out for?
Has to be Finn Allen, no? This is his first PSL, I believe.
Yeah.
And he's going to come in guns a-blazing. He's an extremely cinematic talent. I remember when Pakistan was playing New Zealand in the semi-final of the 2022 World Cup, we were watching it together, obviously, and you told me, man, you were actually kind of pessimistic during that game. You were like, Pakistan's going to lose this. It's fine. Finn Allen's going to smash Shaheen all over the park. I think the first ball he hit was actually 4-4, I believe. Down mid-on, and then just Shaheen got him. And ever since then, I haven't really seen a lot of this guy, but I do know that that's something to worry about, that he's going to explode in the first 6. And that's his game is not for 20 overs. His game is for 6 overs. And he's going to go out there and just let it happen. So that's somebody I'm really interested in.
In that same World Cup, he literally smashed Australia out of the tournament. He hit Mitchell Starc all over the place in his first over. And then also never forget that century he scored against Pakistan when Pakistan last toured there. We live streamed
that game. I think it was 16-6 or something. It's some world record. Everybody was getting smashed all over the park. I don't know why we live streamed that. I mean, it's still available for everybody's entertainment. You guys can check that out. Just our souls exiting our body. But yeah, Finn Allen, lots of horrible memories, but I think he's going to have a good time at the TPSL. So.
I agree. I think Finn Allen is a player to watch out for.
Also, just Saud Shakil as captain for Quetta. We got to shout that out for the Karachi agenda, man. Like, good on you, Saud. Saud was one of those picks last year where I didn't know if he had that in him, but he came out guns a-blazing. He was scoring rapidly, high strike rate. He really couldn't finish the tournament strong, but the way he started it, I remember, was just like everybody was talking about Saud being a T20 player. And we were like, oh, God, another opener. I remember that.
Quetta Gladiators player to watch out for, in my opinion, is going to be Hassan Nawaz.
Okay.
One of the most improved players as a batting talent in the last year and a half. He is a top order opening batsman. Scored the second most sixes in the recently concluded Champions Cup T20. Played for Islamabad United a few years back. Got a few games. Wasn't able to deliver as what was expected from him, so he got dropped. But again, he's improved his power hitting game. He's back in the Quetta side, and he's picked in the emerging category.
Somebody else in the emerging is Mohammad Zishan, that Shan was saying in our, just our interaction with Islamabad last year, was the one who was telling us that Zishan is tough to play. He's always aiming for the body. The short stuff is like just hard to pick.
6'8".
6'8". Like, a lot of people got bruises on their chest side, and that's the one I really want to see. He had some game time, I believe, in the last PSL, but not enough. I hope Quetta uses him well as well.
And I guess our surprise pick for Quetta combined would be Shoaib Malik.
I think he's surprised too.
Honestly, guys, you could have picked Qasim Akram. He does the similar thing what Shoaib Malik does. You could have picked Mubassir Khan, again, an off-spinning batting all-rounder. But to go back to Shoaib Malik, I can't understand it. Also, I think this is why there is a much-needed demand for more teams in the PSL, which will be announced next year. So we can expect 2 more teams in the PSL. And the current teams, their contracts with the PSL are expiring. So we might see some changes in ownership. Or
you think Backward Point is in the bidding for a PSL team?
PSL Junior League.
I'm just saying, Karachi Kings. It's not happening for them. Give it to us. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about Karachi Kings. Karachi Kings, you know what, Bashar, if you had told me that this was the Karachi Kings that's playing the PSL 10 draft from, maybe a PSL 7 or a 6, I would have been very, very surprised, because the team that's in front of me right now, even though there's a lot of technical issues, it's hard to make an 11, a lot of top order players, maybe, people got to shift around. I don't know what's going to happen, but it is a vast improvement from the Karachi Kings that we've seen before. And I'm not saying that I'm jumping back on the KK wagon. It depends on if the jersey colors are still silver and shiny, annoyingly, but I'm feeling a little bit better about Karachi. I'm still not 100% there though.
Credits to Karachi, to Haider Azhar, for revamping this whole team. They let Babar go, they let Imad go, they let Mohammad Amir go. That was basically the crux of Karachi Kings back in the day. And they've started rebuilding this team from last year. Now, with these PSL circuits, these tournaments, you have very limited time to do anything. And all the owners want are results. So last year, Karachi won 4 games, which is the same amount of wins they had in the past 2 years combined. So already some improvement, bringing in Shan Masood. And now they had 3 open picks in the platinum category. They picked David Warner, I think one of the biggest picks in this PSL. Adam Mill, really quick bowler. Abbas Afridi in the platinum.
Great all-rounder.
Wicket taker in the PSL in the middle overs. Has the variations. Played for Pakistan recently. Could smack it a few down the order as well. And then Khuzdil Shah picked in the diamond category. It almost feels like Karachi and Multan are just trading players right left.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a shocker there. But Shan Masood as captain for Karachi Kings still doesn't sit right with me.
Gold bracket subject to captaincy.
Like, that's what I mean. It's insane. That's the thing. They have a leadership, sort of, the lack of leadership in this team is just appalling to me. No shade on Shan. Shan was great when he was in the Pakistan team. Actually, surprisingly, 2022's highest run scorer for Pakistan, Shan Masood. Says a lot about where Pakistan was at that time. But Shan, it's tough, man. Karachi Kings has to move forward from Shan Masood. They got to get a new youngster. Now, this is I guess, a really good time to talk about a little bit of a rumor that was going on with maybe a certain Saim Ayub wanting to come back and fulfilling his Karachi agenda, the prince that was promised, and was denied that. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, it is illegal and unethical for teams to poach players directly.
Yeah.
So if Karachi was in fact in talk with Saim Ayub directly, that is unethical.
But
against the laws of the PSL.
You can take the 11 out of snake, but you can't take the snake out of Karachi Kings.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's a bit, it's tough, you know. Simon, what's been reported is that he was currently being paid 120K USD as part of the platinum category for Zalmi, and Karachi was willing to offer him 220K USD plus captaincy. So, I mean, for any youngster, this is more than a lucrative offer, plus the chance of him going back to his home city and representing it would have been massive. So I can imagine how Sai might have been lured into talking to Zalmi to release them, but for Zalmi to be like, no, we invested in you in the past 2 years. Don't forget, Quetta Gladiators dropped you a couple of years back, and we picked you again. We showed our trust and belief in you. So I'm actually more siding towards Zalmi's side, where, you know, if they've invested into a player, I think it's their rights to keep them. And also, there should be some sort of mutual understanding between the player and the team, where if a player wants to leave, what sort of environment would he be performing in? Like, if I don't want to be on this podcast and you were forcing me to be on this podcast,
which I am 100%,
I may not deliver to the best of my ability. Like, if I want to go to a different podcast,
you'll half-ass it.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to go to a different like Pro Sports?
It's just hypothetically.
Pro Sports is calling for Peshawar, and here he is sitting in front of me. Tough. Yeah, I mean, you know what? Let's play that scenario out for like 2 minutes. If Saim Ayub did go to Karachi Kings and became their platinum pick and their captain, I would have, maybe my allegiance would have shifted a little bit more than it has already. Saim Ayub, and then you build the team around Saim now. At that point, you know, you get Saim Ayub and David Warner opening.
Bro,
come on.
Bro.
What did I just say?
I'm already wearing blue.
What did I just say? I'm just telling you, like, the whole world would turn blue at this point. Karachi Kings, who was their best player? I guess David Warner, that's a no-brainer. Surprise pick, David Warner again, I believe.
I think surprise pick was Williamson. I wasn't relying on them to pick Williamson.
Yeah, fair enough.
Again, sort of an anchor kind of player. And if you look at Karachi, they've just accumulated a lot of top-order batsmen. So David Warner, James Vince, Sham Masood himself, Tim Seifert, Litan Das, Kane Williamson, Umair bin Yusuf. All these guys are like players who can play in the top 3, top 4. So they will need somebody to be flexible and go down the order.
What's the deal with Umair bin Yusuf?
We met him.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
We met him at the last year in the hotel. And
good chap. Like, it was a good conversation. But
solid player, but probably more suited towards the ODIs and test format, like proper technique from Karachi. Again, Karachi agenda is going to be firing. But I think he needs a bit more time. Like, there's no space for him in the Pakistan setup. T20s, he did decent last year for Quetta. So I'm hoping he does, again, good for Karachi, but it's going to be tough to see if he gets game time.
It's going to be tough as well. He was in the supplementary category. Karachi Kings, they look better on paper than they did last year. That's the best I can say for them right now.
Who was their best pick?
I mean, Warner.
And who's a player to watch out for?
You're a big Arafat Minhas guy.
I'm a big Arafat Minhas guy.
I would watch out for him.
So I think last year he was in the emerging category, but this year, because he played for Pakistan, he played the, what was it, like the Asian Games?
Sure, yeah.
So if you're an emerging player and if you play for Pakistan, or even if you get called up to the squad, you can then no longer be in the emerging category. And then you get pushed to the silver or gold category, which is, from the player's point of view, a big disadvantage because according to the PSL rules, there needs to be one emerging player in the playing 11. So I think each team picks on average 2 to 3 players in the emerging category, versus if you're a regular player, you're competing with like the 15 guys. If you're emerging, you're competing with just the other 3 emerging guys. So it's easier to find your place in the playing 11 and get some game time. So Arafat Minhas is now in the silver category. I think he has immense potential. He could be the next Imad Wasim, Mohammad Nawaz type of guy, left arm spinner, left-hand attacking batsman, gun fielder at backward point. I think I want to see him, more of him.
Let's talk about Karachi's long-lost rival in Lahore, the Qalandars. Mr. Samin Rana, friend of the podcast, alumni of the podcast. He did some picking around in the drafts for sure. He was there in Lahore, playing some like indoor cricket or one-tip cricket with Shaheen as well. I don't know if you saw that clip. Made the rounds as well. He got first pick this draft, got Daryl Mitchell. What do you have to say about that? We've talked about it a little bit.
We actually just missed one thing from Karachi.
Okay.
Karachi Kings is blatantly copying Islamabad United's tactics. They came out this year with the varsity jacket Islamabad had last year. They introduced their new mascot. What is it? The Mufasa?
the, Mufasa to the Sheru. Yes, that's when you order. I think it was I love the little banter that's going on around these PSL teams. I think it's really fun. It's really engaging. Gets the fans rallying behind them, and it's just like Karachi King. Heather Azhar was like, you know what? I don't know if this is actually Heather Azhar. I don't want to point at him. He's a good dude. I don't know if he would actually be like, hey, let's strip off everything that Islamabad does. But it is uncanny. Like their mascot is now suddenly a lion. Was it always the case? I'm not sure. And now they're just like the lion is very close to what the Islamabad lion looks like. And then you got the varsity jackets that look very close to what the Islamabad I don't know, man. Like what are they gonna have two brothers host a podcast now from Canada? What's happening here, guys?
Queries at backwardpointpod.com.
The only way you can fix Karachi Kings is if backward point gets in there. But I'm just saying. Yeah. Let's move to Lahore, man.
First pick, Daryl Mitchell. Again, we talked about him in detail. Great middle-order player, big name from New Zealand. They retained Fakhr. They have Shaheen Afridi in the Platinum category. They picked Kusal Pereira as their backup wicketkeeper batsman. And I think he might be actually opening with Fakhr, who is also, Kusal Pereira is also a very attacking left-handed batsman. Some will say he is the new coming of Sanat Jayasuriya from Sri Lanka as well. So good pick. I think the retentions were amazing. Jahandad Khan is a good bowler. Abdullah Shafiq hopefully comes back into form. But the thing with Lahore is that
a bit of a weird patch, isn't he, Shafiq?
The big problem with Lahore in the past year was the gaping hole that Rashid Khan left in their bowling lineup. I believe the 2 years that Lahore Qalandars won, they had a super team with respect to their bowling attack. Peak Shaheen, peak Haris Rove, emerging Zaman Khan, Rashid Khan, and then David Wiese plus Sikandar. So like, how do you score against this bowling lineup? So last year, they actually retained Rashid Khan in silver category. Rashid was undergoing a lower back surgery, and he was expected to come back for this season's PSL in the platinum category. However, he has chosen to play the IPL over the PSL. Understandably, I would do the same thing.
You're not getting called for the IPL, buddy. Have you checked your passport recently? But didn't he played the IPL last year though, Rashid Khan?
Yes, because his surgery happened in I think the Jan-Feb timeline. So the whole March he was resting, and then he came back for the IPL.
Okay, I was just asking. Asif Ali, what's up with him?
Asif Ali, yeah, I think one of the most sixes in the PSL.
Where was he last year?
Last year he was in Zalmi, played a few games, got dropped.
Is this the redemption arc for Asif Ali?
I hope so. I really hope so.
Zalmi got him in silver, and everybody had a lot of high hopes of Asif Ali. I mean, who can forget the 4 sixes he hit against Afghanistan in the T20 World Cup? I mean, it was one of the most glorifying moments that I actually was a part of, because I actually thought, well, Afghanistan kind of had it in the bag. And then comes your boy Asif. I think Asif Ali is one of those players to watch. We're going to talk about player to watch, best pick, and all that, but I'm just going to jump ahead. Asif Ali is the guy to watch. I think his redemption arc is loading. And, you heard it first at backward point. I'm just going to say that. Before anybody comes at me, that's my harsh pick.
I just think the role he has is difficult to play. To come in the last 5 overs, start hitting from ball one, I think it's a challenging task. But yeah, good luck to him for that.
I think role definition, at least in Lahore Qalandars, will be definite for him. And if he comes out and out of the 11 group games or 10 group games, if he even wins them 2, that's a big win. That's 2 games that we're going to be destined to lose. They'll come out stronger with Asif Ali coming out and finishing that for you. I just hope really good things for him. He's a great guy, that's from what I've heard, and some difficulty in life. And I really hope he overcomes this little patch that he's going on. I just think at the same time, in Lahore Qalandars, they've only had that 1 win in that last PSL. After going back to back, 1 win, Asif Ali can at least do better than that for them.
Yeah, a lot of the games he lost were quite close, actually. And just again, on that same arc of Rashid Khan being missed in Lahore, they picked up Rashad Hussain, who is, I think, one of the first leg spinners from Bangladesh, also bats a bit. So they're going to be banking on him to play the same role. Now, an interesting part of Lahore is that I haven't seen any more new talent from them with respect to the PDB program. So they had Haris Rove and then nobody really else coming in. What happened to the program? Are we going to see more talent? What is up? But in the podcast with GRC, I mentioned that one of their players to watch out for is going to be Momin Qamar, left arm unorthodox spinner. Up until a few years ago, Pakistan had no left arm wrist spinners, but now they have three in Sufyan Mukim, Faisal Akram, and now Momin Qamar. Saw him in the PGL. Good talent.
Yeah, I mean, like what a time it was in 2023 when we were like scampering for spinners, and now we have like an abundance of them. Life, man, times change, and then you look back, you're like, why did we live the life that we did?
Lahore, player to watch out for.
Player to watch out. I'm gonna say Fakhar Zaman, man.
Okay. And who was your best pick?
Daryl Mitchell, platinum, easy.
And surprise pick.
Surprise pick. Ooh. I mean, you know what was unsurprising was David Wiese still being in this team. The retention for that, like they will at one point change like some landmark and name it after Wiese at this point.
He's
like
40.
He's what is he in this team for? The next thing he's gonna do is like retire and just be coach of the Lahore Qalandars. I swear that's coming. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say for the surprise pick. Who do you got?
My surprise pick is kind of Sam Billings.
Kind of?
I believe Islamabad picked him, and then Lahore used the right to match to get him back into Lahore because he was in Lahore. Not last year, but the year before.
Okay. So they still have him in here.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, let's go to Peshawar Zalmi. #Yellowstorm.
Yeah. Stop it.
So we talked about TKC being a surprise pick. My concern with TKC was just his stats last year, plus him not being able to get the NOC. But it turns like he is going to retire from red ball cricket and then get the NOC from the
How much do you think they're paying him?
I think around about 200K.
200K? No,
so the platinum category caps out at 170K, but each team also has a commercial budget, which they can then use to pay players. So for example, I believe Babar Azam, Shadab, Naseem all get paid beyond 170K easily.
Okay. So TKC is being paid to commercial budget as well. Okay. I mean, good on you, man. Good on you. I don't mind.
Corbin Bosch, I think, was a surprise pick because he had good numbers in Test cricket and the ODI cricket, but his T20 numbers are still quite underwhelming. So a lot of players get picked up on hype, and I think Corbin Bosch is one of those players who get picked up on recent hype.
I have a question for you. Is this going to be Mohammad Haris's PSL?
Really depends where he plays. I still feel like him being at one down is a waste. He should be opening, and that's why I feel like he should have gone to a different team. With Babar and Saim and Zalmi, I doubt that Haris can open. Also, the reports are that Haris also wanted to leave Zalmi. So there is something happening in the Yellow Storm where
the storm is brewing.
The storm is brewing. Players like Saim and Haris, their icon players, want to leave it and go to a different team. So something for them to look into.
Would this whole storm be sort of relieved if Babar comes at number 3? Do you think that's going to happen?
Again, the way they've made the whole batting lineup, they want people to play around Babar. It's to accommodate for Babar Azam. But I believe if Babar Azam is allegedly your best batsman in Pakistan and Zalmi, then he should be the one who's flexible.
Yeah. Yeah. Good call. So who's the player to watch out for in Zalmi?
I think a really funny pick was Nahid Rana.
Why is that funny? Explain yourself.
Just
for the Babar fans out there.
Just because, okay, so I feel like Nahid Rana is a Babar Azam pick.
Okay.
Because he got Babar Azam out twice in 3 innings in the test series that happened in Pindi. So Babar's like, yo, this guy gets me out. I'm going to pick him for my team.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it could also just be like he was impressed. And Nahid Rana balls consistently 145 plus. The pitches in April and May in Pakistan are going to be kind of dead, kind of rough. If he can come out and just produce like a magical spell, that will really help Zalmi move their needle forward.
I think a player to watch out for Zalmi is Abdul Samad. He is a lower order finisher who has performed quite brilliantly in the past 1 year, finished a few matches that were like the team was in a losing situation and he came back and hit a few sixes, hit a few boundaries and got his team over the line. So I think Pakistan needs more lower middle order players who can sort of fit into that role.
Now, one player that me and Behram kind of got into was about Corbin Bosch. He thought Corbin Bosch was a bit overrated and overpaid in Zalmi. I still think Corbin Bosch is a pretty good pick for them. Maybe Diamond is a little bit overpaid, but as an all-rounder, he had a really good season against Pakistan in South Africa. He's a good bowler. We always talk about how a balance of a team is is upon a good fast bowling all-rounder. We see Hardik Pandya, we see Amar Jamal, we see all these guys coming in and balancing a batting heavy or a bowling heavy team. And Corbin Bosch could be that person. You know, with Amar Jamal gone, Corbin Bosch, not a bad pick.
Corbin Bosch, batting average of 19 and strike rate of 113.
In T20s.
T20s, which is nothing impressive, to be honest.
I agree, but is he still not?
Bowling stats, 68 innings, 48 wickets, economy of 8.3. So he doesn't even average 1 wicket per match.
So you're on.
So at best, he might give you like 19 runs off 16 balls and get like not even get a wicket because he doesn't average a wicket per innings.
So he's not like for like replacement for Amar Jamal. That's what you're saying.
Correct, and he's not a diamond player. I don't know.
All right, so you're also in the camp that they over pick. So so Zalmi kind of screwed up here then, according to you.
I believe so.
So Corbin Bosch overpaid, TKC overpaid.
Muhammad Ali Daisy Diamond. That is a PSL issue. Hasn't played for Pakistan. Test player last season. I know he was highest wicket taker, but come on, guys.
Who?
Muhammad Ali.
What's the deal with Muhammad Ali Daisy? What is that?
Daisy apparently is his nickname.
Sure. Okay.
So in the whole Real Look podcast,
that's what I was.
Ali said he was like Daisy, and people are like, "Who's Daisy?" It's Muhammad. It's Muhammad Ali.
I was people.
It was Muhammad Ali.
All right. Vibes.
Player.
All vibes.
So best pick for Zalmi. Who do you think it was?
Babar Azam. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know, man.
I think it was Alzari Joseph.
I still think Corbin Bosch is not as bad as you think. Stats may disagree. He's having a kind of a widespread season right now. He debuted right now in Test match cricket. Maybe I'm mixing formats. Maybe I'm trying to defend Zalmi here over the top. But Corbin Bosch, if he comes out and produces something spectacular, you heard it at Backward Point first, guys.
I think Alzari Joseph is a player to watch out for, in my opinion. Zalmi needs some pace, and Alzari Joseph has that pace.
Who's Max Bryant? Never heard of him.
Honestly, never heard of him.
Good for Max.
I guess he could be a player to watch out for. And I think one of Zalmi's best picks was Ma Sadakat, really emerging top order left-handed batsman. I doubt he'll get any game time, but let's say if Saim Ayub is not fully fit, which is going to be highly unlikely for the PSL, Maz could open with Babar, or he could come like one down.
Imagine the day. Your boy Hussain Talat, Saim in gold.
Yeah, so Hussain was the highest run scorer in this Champions Cup T20.
Do you want to tell your Hussain Talat story here as well? When your hand was broken in the GT20 in 2023?
Yeah, so basically I met Hussain Talat in 2023, the GT20. It was just like in the parking lot and I was going into the hotel and I met him, I saw him.
He struck a friendship with Hussain Talat.
Yes.
You don't have to be kind about it.
And at the time, I fractured my pinky.
You guys can, the Mohammed Haris interview, the Azam Khan interview, you guys can see that he had a cast on, right?
Yeah, so I was taking a catch on the boundary and the ball landed in a really weird spot. Still caught the ball, but fractured my finger in the process. So I showed him my finger. I'm like, do you think it's broken? And at the time, I didn't have my x-ray done. So it was still swollen. He's like, no, it's not fractured. I said, put some cream on it, you'll be fine.
Did he like shake your hand as well, like really hard?
Yeah, he like tried to like bend it and stuff. I don't know what he was doing.
But Santa, nice guy though. Like every time we met him at the lobby, he always asked about your hand. Good dude.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Let's go to
Reluka 11.
Which is Multan Sultans.
Multan Sultans, bro. That the 2 teams left. What are you talking about?
We are down to the finalists of the PSL. Multan Sultans. Here we go. They picked Michael Bracewell, another Kiwi, right arm off spin, left-hand batsman. Ali Tareen kept heading towards picking up a left-handed batsman in the PSL. I thought, honestly, he's talking about Usman Khwaja in the top order, but Rizwan could have been explosive.
I think he kind of like, he was bluffing in that podcast.
I mean, Bracewell is a left-handed batsman.
Yeah, but he's not an opener.
No, he's not.
He's more middle order, right? Am I remembering this right?
Correct, yeah.
So then he was bluffing. He was like, oh, we need a left-arm opener. There's one that we're eyeing. I thought he was going to be Khwaja or Warner.
And they let go Riza Hendricks. So I thought, yeah, left-handed opener with Rizwan is the way to go.
Yeah, I'm calling your bluff there, Mr. Tareen. Yeah, Bracewell, pretty good pick. Amir and Platinum, I cannot with that. I've said this many times before, and I think I'm like kind of shooting myself in the foot here by saying this again. But I do think Multan Sultans is a boring team. I said this at the GRC
This
podcast.
guy said this on
the GRC podcast.
Ali Tareen's platform.
Hey,
Ali Tareen, Multan Sultans.
Do you want me to sell out? Do you want me to like not forgave my opinion? Like, what do you want me to? Like, I feel so bad for Ariha. Like, Ariha was hosting the podcast and she was quiet through my entire rant. I said they were like kind of a boring team. They don't have a poster boy. They're really good and it gets boring at times. There's this general demeanor of it all. It just feels not as exciting to me. And Mohammad Rizwan, he used to have very stellar years, even in international cricket in the T20s, but he's kind of in a downturn. And it's just not fun to watch this team, in my opinion. I said this on the GRC podcast, but do you guys not want the truth? Do you guys not want the truth? Do you guys want me to censor myself because I'm at Ali Tareen's podcast? Really?
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
No. I know the fans are with me here. The fans, the BP fans are with me. The backward pointers, as you say it.
Multan got that hashtag Iftimania. So expect some success from him.
Again, like maybe it's like me mixing international cricket with franchise cricket, but I have a sour taste with like half the players in this team. Rizwan, Osama Mir, Iftikhar Ahmed, Usman Khan. Like these are 4 players that have I've had a lot of high hopes with that have come back and bit me in international cricket. So maybe I'm still, that hangover hasn't passed completely. On paper, they're a really good team. Usman Khan cannot not score centuries for franchise leagues apparently, and Iftikhar Ahmed was like their standout performer for the last year. So I'm not completely shitting on them, but I'm just saying it's a little bit of a okay, yeah, Sultans for sure.
I think one of their best picks was getting in Mohammad Hussain. Hussain probably one of the most improved bowlers in Pakistan's domestic circuit in the past 1 year. So to pick him sort of compensates for losing Ihsanullah in the past year.
Losing Ihsanullah, I mean that's like a soap opera waiting to happen.
Ihsanullah, bro, you need a manager. What's the best of it?
It's tough. It's tough with Ihsanullah there in the social media, just letting it rip. We've heard a lot of under the table stories about Ihsanullah, and I guess they're all true now because he really does fit that character that what we heard about. And
someone tweeted that Ihsanullah is a child trapped in a man's body.
Yeah. Somebody was like also tweeting like, just I feel bad for him, he needs mental health, counseling, this, that, and the other. And I kind of do feel for him, like generational bowler, honestly, 150 on the dot, raw pace. You could have really polished him and turned him into something crazy, like maybe not Chris Jordan.
Mark Wood?
No. Right arm fast bowler from England.
Archer?
Archer. Like an Archer type, thank you. Archer type bowler wasn't meant to be because our medical staff just wants to end careers. And that's a tough pill to swallow. So I feel for him too.
Multan also breaking the Shah brothers trio by taking in Ubaid Shah in the emerging category. Thoughts on that?
I mean, why wouldn't you? Ubaid Shah is kind of having he had a good PSL. He was opening.
And he played 1 match, 1 or 2 matches.
Did Hunan play 2 matches then?
Yeah.
Hunan played more than Ubaid.
You're mixing the Shahs.
It happens all the time. I'm surprised I didn't say Naseem's name here. I mean, what else to say? I hope that he gets game time. That's all I can say. I mean, the games between Multan and Islamabad will be fun. And I think Tareen Saab is a little bit forward thinking in the sense as to be psychological. He might just play Ubaid against Islamabad and see what happens. It'd be interesting for sure.
Absolutely. I think a player to watch out for. Did we talk about that for Multan?
No, we haven't. Player to watch out for.
Honestly, Usman Khan. This guy scored on the PSL.
Yeah, Boston scored 5 centuries in like 6 games. Yeah, sure. Usman Khan is fine.
And one of their best picks, I think, was to bring back Akif Javed. Akif Javed was first picked by Islamabad United in the PSL. Tall, left arm, quick, in swing bowler from the KPK. Had a few injuries, but I think if you can groom him, he could be a good backup for Shaheen. I know Shaheen is a generational talent, but Akif is sort of behind Shaheen in terms of left arm quick, so can bowl 140 plus, swing the ball back in, and be exceptional.
Is Shea Hope still like an amazing talent, or
he just scored 100 2 days ago?
So is he not like a surprise pick that's gonna like really work in Multan Sultan's favor?
Yeah, a backup keeper as well.
I'm gonna go
decent pick
with him. I've heard a lot about Shea, even from Azam. Azam was also a big fan of Shea Hope. So yeah, Shea Hope. Hopefully he has a good run with Sultans.
Now talking about the defending champs.
Now we can talk about freely the Islamabad United agenda, correctly?
3-time PSL winning champions Islamabad United.
the first podcast hosted by Backward Point. You guys can check it out in the playlist at our website and everywhere else. Go ahead. Yeah, the pick is yours.
First pick in the platinum category that they had was the sixth. They had the sixth pick in the first round of the platinum category. Matthew Short, genius pick in my opinion. This guy bashes the ball everywhere. Just scored 100 in the Big Bash. Average like 29 in T20s.
What's the strike rate looking like?
145.
Oh yeah, I like that.
I mean, Islamabad has a history of foreign players that they pick as openers, whether it be Brad Haddon, Shane Watson,
Khwaja,
Luke Ronke, Usman Khwaja, Alex Hales, and now
Colin Monroe,
which they have in silver, Matthew Short. I think he's going to be a player literally to watch out for. I'm going to be glued to my screen trying to watch Matthew Short because if he goes ballistic, we're looking at a crazy power play score for Islamabad. Plus, Islamabad's love for all-rounders can balls a few handy offspin too.
I think Islamabad United is the most watchable team out of the entire six that we've picked. And again, no bias, no agenda. I'm just being as objective as I can in this. With Matthew Short opening the batting and Naseem Shah opening the bowling, Shadab Khan captaining your team, those three names are just insane. And Salman Liaga has really upped his game in T20 guys as well. we saw him score a century in the practice games, and Haider Ali is also somebody that we saw score a century in the practice games. He was just whipping everybody. The biggest sixes I've ever seen in my entire life. Haider Ali in that practice game. No, like it's like a secret between me and Haider because only a handful of people were there to witness that. The ball at the Rawalpindi ground hit the minibus outside the park. If you remember this, all the cricket balls were gone. Haider Ali was going ballistic, and so the firepower that they have. The way that Rehan has sort of structured this team, the floating concept that anybody can play anywhere. Azam Khan, we've forgotten about Azam Khan. Another franchise, great. He just goes out there, plays great. It's going to be one to watch. And like I said, Islamabad United, the most watchable team right now.
Azam will be far more important in this PSL than any of the past PSLs, just because the PSL window is shifting to April, May. It's going to be warmer in Pakistan, so you can expect more dry, flat pitches. So perhaps more spin on offer. And Azam is a spin basher, but they've also picked up Jason Holder as a replacement sort of for Fahim Ashraf. 6'8", balls outswing with the new ball, tall guy, so he has extensive reach and he can really bash spin as well. So I think Jason Holder also a very good pick.
Ben Dwaris. Did I say that name right?
Dwaris.
Yes. Yeah. Thoughts? Feelings?
Left arm quick from Australia. Also can smack a few down the order. Again, Islamabad loves guys who are handy with both bat and ball. I think Ben Dorsh's decent pick. Raleigh Meredith, an express pace bowler from Australia. So if there's any reverse swing on offer and you need high pace bowlers, Raleigh Meredith can be that guy for them.
Rossi Wenner-Dewson. Now, I feel like Rehan is kind of playing a little bit of a Toronto Nationals agenda here as well.
They also got Andres Goose, who was also in the Nationals.
I mean, Rehan. I see what you're doing there, Rehan Bhai.
Multi-franchise.
He's winning everywhere in Canada and in Pakistan. Who was the bowler that Toronto Nationals picked?
Jason Berendal.
He went unpicked, I believe. Was he in the
He went
draft?
Unpicked.
Yeah.
I believe he was in the draft. Really good bowler, by the way.
Yeah, he was one of the reasons that Toronto Nationals won the GT20 this year because he was just crazy with the ball. And very nice family. I remember in the team's box, his sons were just running havoc. Cute boys. And yeah, I feel like Islamabad United, like I've said before, the most watchable team. They've retained some really, like, the firepower that they have is insane. They even have veterans like Imad Wasim in there.
Surprise pick, Mohamed Nawaz.
I was just gonna say
veteran of the podcast.
Another Nationals a guy. So that's why I believe that the Rehan ul Haq ex Toronto Nationals partnership really paid off here. Yeah, what can I say? I mean, Nawaz coming out telling me that I'm probably a better bowler than Qadir Saab, and no, he never said that. But like, he's coming out and praising my bowling. That was a huge thing for me. You guys can watch us battle against Nawaz in that one over match. I hope that gets traction during the PSL again because that'll be just a funny video to go viral. Good for him. Nawaz, great lad, really funny. Just a good overall guy, a good pick, and finally, Mohammad Nawaz's inclusion in the Islamabad United camp ends the debate that you've been raging on that Mohammad Nawaz and Imad Wasim should play in the same team together. And you know what? With the way that Rehan thinks, I might even think that they're both going to be the 11th at the same time.
Islamabad has ended the Nawaz versus Imad debate, the age-long debate, who's better, who should play. on this podcast in the past, I've said, why on both? Why did I say that? Because I look at India's team and they play Jadeja and Akshar Patel in the same 11.
Yep.
Literally, like the game against Pakistan, both Jadeja and Akshar Patel played. And you could use one of them as a low value wicket. Like I remember Akshar Patel went like 2 down against Pakistan and he smashed a few. So if you use it like as an irrelevant low value wicket, the game against India in the Asia Cup 2022, the second group match, Mohammad Nawaz was set at number 4, low value wicket, scores 40 something off 20 balls and wins Pakistan the match. So with the game PSL happening in April, May, Nawaz's left arm spin in the power play, middle overs could be key. And we might see like Shadab, Imad, Nawaz, Salman Al-Yaga, like way too many bowling options.
I also think Mohammad Nawaz is kind of like an insurance package for Imad Wasim. You know, the record that Maddie's kind of going on, low fitness, not really hardworking, can't really run twos. If something, God forbid, were to happen to Imad Wasim, you always have Mohammad Nawaz in there to fill in those shoes.
My take, Imad is clutch.
My take, now we have 2 people that are smoking on camera, Imad Wasim and Mr. Sikandar Bakht. We finally made it, man. We've come to the end of the roster. I thought this would never end. Honestly, the HBL PSL draft for 2025, Bashar, on live stream on the PSL account goes for over 7.5 hours. So I don't know who was actually tuned in for all of that, but I salute you guys. I watched the highlights. I saw a clip of the whole debacle happening at the same time, and I was like, saved a lot of time for myself. But yo, the PSL kind of is in a very sweet spot. We're already talking about the PSL in January, and it doesn't start till April. This is the longest window they've had from the draft to the actual commencement of the league. I think that just creates a lot of hype in between. We got players like David Warner in here. We got players like Daryl Mitchell in here. We've got players like TKC. Oh wait, we got players. We got all these. Matthew Short is in here. There's a lot of cricket happening in between. The Champions Trophies happening in between. Ramzan is in there as well. So there's going to be a lot of build up for this. You know, the 10th edition, important year. Next year, the PSL changes completely. New owners might come in. New teams are coming in. This might be the last time we know the PSL as we know it. And you know what? If they can go out with a bang, I'm interested.
Top 4 teams. Quick.
Islamabad United. Karachi Kings. Zalmi and Lahore.
Damn. Okay. So I will say Islamabad, Multan, Quetta, and Karachi.
I think Karachi is going to make the playoffs this time after a very long drought. I think they have a pretty solid team, at least on paper. And I think they're kind of sick of losing, man. Honestly, like at this point, you have to be. Lahore might make a comeback as well. And I think, my boy Shaheen is kind of on a redemption arc after being the captaincy being taken away from him right after the PSL. And, the whole debacle, we were all there for that. We don't have to repeat that. But you know what always comes back and saves you? Something that we haven't mentioned this entire podcast, Bashar. Would you like to shed some light on that?
Yashi Sports.
Yashi Sports.
The most important part of the podcast right now.
That's it.
Skip here.
We pushed it to the end to see if people noticed. And I'm pretty sure people noticed.
I think our retention is one of the highest towards the end. People want to see what we have to say. A lot of breaking news being released. But this breaking news is that Yashi Sports has the top quality equipment. They got the expert advice. And if that wasn't enough, they've given us this code BB10 for an exclusive 10% off your next purchase.
Don't be an idiot. Use the BB10 code. Save 10%. Get your gear.
Combined purchases. Make a big purchase. Get BB10 10% off.
Cricket season started, man. Like the nets are being booked like crazy. Teams are practicing. Get your hours in. Get your throwdowns in. Go to Yashi Sports. Use their facilities. Use their bats. Buy their equipment. Use BB10. Have a good time.
I was just scrolling through the website and they literally have everything. Like they got shoes. They got bats. They got kit bags. They got practice gear.
And pretty soon, Bashar, they will also have Backward Point merchandise.
Wow, there we go. Breaking news.
Breaking news. Backward Point merchandise is in its final draft. We're finalizing stuff as we speak. Hopefully we'll start getting samples from next week. And then we'll be pretty soon showing it to you guys probably in maybe the next week or so. So we're very excited where that's going out with. Yashi Sports has really helped us a lot in this creating this merchandise, this apparel thing that we've going on, because we don't want to call it merchandise. We want to go for the more apparel outlook, but it's we've shown some of the designs to our Patreon members. They love it. We're gonna have a full post on Patreon as well. So if you guys want to check that out, join it. The Patreon is getting a revamp. Where there's some WhatsApp groups interested in there, because we want to shift a lot of those people onto a platform where we can keep engaging with them. So a WhatsApp group is also being talked about. Some new tiers coming out, some tiers being torn away, and just some more perks. So if you guys want to take a look at that, the Patreon is down there. The Discord server, the Discord got a revamp. It's got a complete new makeover. I was in there today. Just love the way that we've handled that.
We got a new edits channel.
Edits channel. I love that. Meme reviews on the Discord channel are going to be crazy. They're going to be wild. Some of the funniest people in cricket, honestly, are on our Discord, and we're really lucky to have them. So a lot of exciting things happening. Backward Point has also opened its doors to intervirtual podcasting. We just had Michelle from the Caribbean Cricket League, Bashar, on the podcast.
CCB.
He was our first podcast via video link, and honestly, I had a lot of fun. I thought there would be sort of a separation between us and the guest, and maybe Michelle is just a really good host. He's hosting his own cricket podcast. It never really felt like we were in the same room together. But I like that feeling, and we're definitely going to be exploring a lot of that. So if you guys are new to Backward Point, subscribe, do all the good stuff. And man, the PSL just around the corner. We don't know what team we're aligned with yet. We haven't gotten a call back from a lot of people. I know a lot of people want to talk about, are you guys doing season 2 for Islamabad? Are you guys doing? We would love to. Honestly, it was one of the best times we've had. This time we'd want to be there for a longer time. Honestly, we were only there for a week. This time we'd want to be there for 2 or 3. So if you guys are a PSL team that's interested in reaching out to us, reach out to us. But just, make sure that if you're Islamabad United, you know where to find us. PSL draft review done, Bashar. Hopefully the next 6 weeks are going to be good for Pakistanis. That's my hope. That's my prayer. And then we can jump right into proper PSL season right after Ramzan. Man, we've been potting for over an hour. This was supposed to be a 35-minute thing, as always. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening to us all the way through. My name is Nader Sayed. With me, as always, my brother and co-host Bashar. And we'll see you guys in the next pod. Cheers.
Mic test.